You're listening to my friend Gary Anderson on Night Dreams Talk Radio, the best in paranormal radio.
Well, hi, everybody. This is Gary down at the compound. Boy, the weather is turning, and talking about the weather, you know, from the fires in California just hit New York. You're talking about some 3,000 miles away. Boy, that is really scary. And Trump today signed off to use legal force at the border. That is now getting a little bit scary. And, well, guess what? Some of the major bankers are talking about a recession. That's right, a recession. Now, what's going on here? I thought we were putting all these people to work, creating all the jobs, and the economy is good. But now they're talking about a recession that's going to hit mid-2019 or at the latest about 2019. That is scary. They're blaming it, like I've been telling everybody a long time ago, these tariffs are kind of, well, wrecking our economy really fast in our own country. If we don't do something about it soon, we might even go into recession way before the end of 2019. Well, NASA is talking about going to the moon again. What do you guys think about that? Well, you know, I would like your guys' opinion. You can contact us at nightdreamstalkradio@gmail.com. That's nightdreamstalkradio@gmail.com. I'd like to have your feedback. Should we go to the moon? And on top of that, should we be going to Mars? Or should we be putting that money in our own, our own country to support what all the things are going on? Well, right after this little break, we got Timothy Cullen. He was abducted by, aliens from a UFO, I take it, and had an implant. And we're going to be finding all that information out right after this.
Please check out the Night Dreams Talk Radio website at www.nightdreamstalkradio.com. Also, if you want to keep our show free of advertising, just hit the donate button. Give a buck or two. Remember, all prior shows are always free to listen to. We at Night Dreams Talk Radio thank you for your support.
And we do. Without your support, you wouldn't be hearing us. Hey, Timothy, how you doing, my friend? It's been about a month or so since we talked to you.
Yeah, it's been a while.
Well, you been staying out of trouble?
Oh, yeah, I couldn't get in trouble if I wanted to.
Well, at our age, yeah.
Well, we won't go that far, but yeah, I got no problem there. Yeah, we've been doing all right.
That's good. And
we take her one day at a time, and that's good.
Yeah. Whereabouts do you live?
I live in Yuma, Colorado.
Yeah.
That's in Nebraska. That's the Nebraska part of Colorado. The northeast corner.
Can you believe the smoke from all the forest fires? The fires, it's going rampant in California. It's hit New York.
Oh yeah. I got a brother that lives out in California. He's told me it's bad.
Oh yeah.
You know, it's a shame. Yes, we've had that fires and hurricanes and floods and the usual gamut, but pretty heavy duty this year it seems. But
well, don't forget, we've been told repeatedly there's no climate changes, but I think they're slowly realizing there is something going on.
I'm with you on that. I mean, we do got a problem, I think.
Oh, yeah.
So,
well, hey, why don't you tell everybody a little bit about yourself, and what led up to what happened to you?
Well, in November of 1998, I went to the doctor and took an X-ray, and because I'd hurt my hand working, and I ended up being told that I had a piece of metal in my wrist, and the doctor wanted to know where it come from. It took me a little while, about 30 seconds, and it dawned on me it could be an alien implant, but I really didn't know much about alien implants, but my secondary sense, that's kind of what showed up, and so the doctor I had, he was a Mormon faith, so I was able to discuss my UFO experiences with him a little bit, and we got to look, and he had a little better computer than I had back then, and we got on the internet, and we found a peer group which was headed by Dr. John Mack, and we contacted them, and they dealt with people's experiences, but he'd heard of a surgeon out in California that had removed some suspected implants from people, and kind of sent me that way. And fortunately, a few nights later, Dr. Leir was on TV with an NBC program called Confirmation Proof of Aliens Amongst Us, and I watched that, seen that, and then I got a hold of Dr. Leir and sent him my information because that's what he wanted. And he ended up contacting me back. We talked a little bit, and he had some health issues kind of through 1999 after his book came out. But in early 2000, then I went out to California, and I had the implant removed from my wrist and surgery supervised by Dr. Leir. And then I was disclosed my proper identity, and I was on a couple television programs in 2001 with Dr. Leir. Aliens have landed in the secret world of alien abduction. And they were kind of, well, the first program was quite negative, and he said even Dr. Leir wasn't even a doctor. And the second program was a little more positive, but that's kind of the mode of how the issue was dealt with a little bit. Back then, it was kind of like a maybe yes and maybe no type deal, but and they couldn't really tell me, wouldn't say anything else one way or another on the things that happened. Like say, I was the ninth surgery, and there was a biological membrane around these metallic implants that couldn't be cut with a scalpel, which was quite interesting. It had ejection properties within the human body, and Dr. Leir put out his book, Aliens in the Scalpel, in 1998, 99, detailing his research on his first 8 surgeries that he'd done. And like I said, I was number 9, and I was one of 7 cantaloupe seed type implants that Dr. Leir recovered in the 17 surgeries that he was involved in with this phenomena. So we went from there. Now, like I said, I don't get to remember anything. I couldn't tell you what aliens look like because I don't know. And if you want to talk about a UFO, I got a big one, medium-sized one, and a strobe light object. So a big one was the first one my wife and I encountered and would have been in May of 1978, and it came down and crossed the road in front of us going into Yuma, and I stopped and looked at it a little bit, and then proceeded to tell my wife that we come on to town, and that's kind of what I remember. But after I find that I have a piece of metal in my body that I don't know where it come from, and ended up being fitting in to the spectrum of Dr. Leir's research, then we have to presume that my wife and I have missing time. And I think we do, and we don't really have no recall of it. Now, she's not been hypnotized, and I've not asked her to be hypnotized, and they've tried twice on me, and it's not been successful. So we have to go from there.
Now,
one of the final surgeries Dr. Leir did was on a man. I won't mention his name, but his surgery was almost identical to mine. As I was told, I mean, the same type of object, same place in the body. But he was abducted in 1970 near Cape Canaveral, Florida, when he was a young man of about 8 years old, him and a couple of his friends. And they took an implant out of his body, and then they were able to regress him and find out some information kind of from him and his friends. They were able to, I don't know if they regressed them all, but I think 2 of them. But shortly after his surgery, then Dr. Leir told me about it, and I'd contacted him, and I talked to him a little bit there for a while, once in a while, and so I did ask him what kind of aliens that he run into, and he told me, he says, they had the big black eyes. He says, he told me I wouldn't remember anything, but then this man told me, he says, the strange thing about it, he said it didn't have a nose or a mouth. So,
yeah,
that's my story on him. sums up about the best I can go there.
Now, I'm going to go back to the beginning, okay? You and your wife were in the car. Now, were you heading, like, towards town or something when you saw the UFO?
Yeah, we'd been to Denver. I'd had a car accident about 6 weeks before that and broke my neck, and I'd had to go to a doctor's appointment and stuff, and we were headed back to Yuma. And we'd stopped and seen a couple friends along the way coming back. It was about 11 o'clock at night, I say. This craft crossed. I had a little bit of a premonition of this when I was in the hospital on a morphine drip, and it was quite interesting. But it crossed us and it stopped, and like I said, I backed up on the highway, and they couldn't believe that in California, but I could have probably backed up 20 miles and never seen nobody on that highway that night. And stopped, and like I say, when I put the car in, 2 lights came on, one above the other. I think that's when our focus come on it, and then, I kind of had some interesting things in my life that have happened to me, and I wouldn't mind. I thought, well, we'll see, but it seemed like we sat there for 5 minutes or so, and then I kind of looked at my wife, and I said, well, we might as well go to town, and she agreed, so I put the car into drive, and we left. The interesting thing was when we were out to California getting surgery, and I'd kind of mentioned we backed up, and then it was, well, when you put the car into drive, was the craft still there? And I didn't know. And that's when my wife says, well, don't you remember the lights shooting up in the air? And I'd never seen any lights shooting up in the air, but she was looking at me, and so she had the craft in her vision all the time, or that area. And when I turned away, I wasn't looking at her. So, it was interesting to find. It took us 20 years to really go out to the spot. So,